Welcome to the Northland Artists Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. Sitting behind the computers today is producer Andrew. Producer Andrew working his guts off today. Been doing an absolutely great job. Just spreading some interesting information to me. It's a good time. Everyone, I hope you're okay. This conversation is going to come out sort of the end of Feb. So hopefully we're all in a much better place than what we were with Cyclone Gabrielle. And if you've been affected by it, please make sure you're keeping in contact with friends and family. If you know someone that's been affected, please help them out. I'm going to switch to my shot camera now. Cyclone Gabriel was a bit of a tough one, even a tough one for us here on the podcast. We were unable to put out a podcast for one of the weeks there because pretty much everyone was involved in helping out, either sort out their property or helping out friends and family that have had their own property damage. So thank you very much for being understanding. We really do appreciate it. So we're going to reward you with an amazing podcast. Janine Williams. Wow, man, she such a nice lady, so cool. A writer of kids fiction. What did she say? That sort of junior fiction through to young adult. Just hearing her story about how she got started, her love of poetry, how that progressed into short stories, and then how she moved from that into writing kids' books when her own kids were born. And then, much like a lot of the writers that we've had on the podcast already, the experience of rejection and things not working out initially. But, she persevered. She got some assistance and some tutoring from a very special tutor, former guest of ours. So make sure you watch or listen to the podcast all the way through. Through to coming out the other side, which has been amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, fans of the podcast, let's have a conversation with Janine Williams. And so it begins.
Okay.
Janine Williams.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us today on the Northland Artists Conversation. It's really amazing.
I'm pleased to be here.
Now, obviously, we tried to do this last year.
We did.
And that pesky thing called bloody COVID got in the way. Now, it was interesting because you didn't have it.
No.
But
I've been in contact with someone.
Yes. And you turned up. And you were masked, and I was like, well, that's cool. She's respecting the mask thing. And you were like, I've been around someone who's tested for COVID, positive for COVID. It's like, right. And then editor Rocky turned up, and he was like, we probably need to. Yeah. So the fact that we were able to reschedule you so early on this year, for us, was super cool.
That's really good.
We've been looking forward to getting you back in. So thank you very much for taking some time out of your day. Now, yours is a bit of an interesting story, isn't it?
Is it?
It is. Now, because I'm going to refer to the notes here. You weren't, so we've had people that have been born around the world in different places, but you weren't born in New Zealand or London or Australia or anywhere. You were born in
Fiji.
The beautiful tropical carver capital of the world. And you're now, how long were you in Fiji for? Did you do your schooling there?
No, I was only born there. I was there less than a year.
Oh, wow.
And, my dad was in the New Zealand Air Force.
Okay.
He was an electrician.
Respect.
And my mum was a correspondence school teacher.
Really?
Yeah, so she used to talk on the radio, and she even rode on horseback up into the hills to see some of her students.
Wow.
And then she had me,
yes.
And I think like a lot of women in those days, that was it. She wasn't going to work anymore. But then my dad left the Air Force and they went to England. So
right.
My earliest memories are of England.
Wow. So Dad had obviously been in the Air Force for a number of years. and he would have because it's was it Royal New Zealand Air Force? Was that what they were called at the time?
I think so. And he worked on flying boats.
Flying boats. Oh, the ones you see in like Fantasy Island, where they've got the little pontoons at the bottom that land on the. Oh, they look amazing.
They do. Yeah,
they look amazing. Okay, so he did that, and then he just sort of went. Well, I've got a daughter now. That's it. I'm done.
He wanted to get promotion or extra training or something, and
right.
he didn't get it. So I thought, we'll do something else. So he finished, and he went to England.
Finished up in London. Was it London?
No, it wasn't.
No,
it was Blackpool. They lived in Blackpool, and they lived in Rawton.
Now, where's Blackpool in relation to the little map of London?
Oh, please don't ask me.
That's okay.
But I know it's got a beach.
Okay.
And they have the Blackpool illuminations, which are the bright lights.
Oh.
That you go and look at night.
Producer Andrew, if you do the edit, can we throw up the image of where Blackpool is? We'll put it that up on so that people that watch the podcast can go, that's Blackpool. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how long were you in England for?
A few years. We came back here just before I was 5. Okay. Because my mum wanted me to go to school here.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So, was preschool a thing back then?
In England, yeah, it was kindergarten.
Right.
And they taught you to read and write and do number. And really, I felt very hard done by actually when I came back to New Zealand and I found that New Zealand kids just played at kindergarten.
Right. You're like, I've done all the structure and work and none of you guys have done it, damn it.
But that's how they do it there, yeah.
Okay. Now, as an author, now for those of you that are watching the podcast, Janine Williams has got her book here, Holding the Horse, 2 copies, and one of them has got a sticker on there, which I'll quickly read that, which says Storyteller's Notable Book Award.
Storylines,
right. Notable Book Award. Congratulations on an award. Did you start off as having writing as your creative output, or did you sort of start somewhere else? How did you kind of find writing as your medium?
I always liked writing poetry and stuff at school.
Oh, okay.
And when I had my children, I really loved reading picture books to them. So I tried writing picture books and would send them off to publishing companies and get them sent back as rejected.
Right.
And then I discovered storylines, and I don't know. You must know about storylines. They do every year a set of awards.
Yes.
For manuscripts.
Yeah.
And I used to send manuscripts off to the Joy Cowley Award, which is the picture book one.
I know the Joy Cowley Award. Yeah.
And
that's a great award.
I got as far as getting being a runner-up in that once.
Wow.
And then I just started wanting to write for older kids. So that's it's junior fiction. The hero, he's 14, so it's for intermediate age, I suppose.
Is that young adult fiction?
No, it's not as old as that.
Okay, right.
Yeah, but younger. Okay. Junior fiction.
Right, okay, because 14, that'd be third form. But no, what do they call
third or fourth?
Yeah.
Yes. So when people ask me, I 10? Say it's for 10 years up to 14 years.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool.
But grown-ups like it too, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
So obviously you sort of started off in poetry. Were you writing poetry through high school or intermediate? When did that sort of love of the word start sort of taking shape?
Primary school and intermediate.
Wow.
I always had teachers that loved poetry.
Yeah.
And encouraged us all to write.
Nice. Do you still have any of the old stuff?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
The short answer was no. I know some writers will kind of hang on to everything they've ever done. The scrap of paper, the napkin, the first rejected manuscript and those sorts of things. But everyone's different, aren't they?
And when you're really young, I mean, your parents just chuck everything out, I think, when you leave home.
Yes.
We moved a lot as well. Stuff gets lost along the way.
I feel you. my Goonies collectible cards got thrown out when I was 17, and they're worth a fortune now. I'm so disappointed.
Yeah.
I digress. What sort of stuff were you can you remember what sort of stuff you were writing about back then?
At school?
Yeah.
Nature, historical things.
Were they sort of your first loves? Were the first sort of things that you were like, yeah?
They probably are, yeah, because I still love those things.
Okay. So with nature and, biology and sciencey stuff, would that sort of all, no?
We're talking quite young, so like walking in the bush and how beautiful it is. That sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as you sort of moved into high school, did you sort of make a decision to continue the writing, or did you go from poetry into short stories?
Yeah, we had teachers that got us to write short stories.
Right.
And then we were all focusing on exams, and that's...
exams.
The whole world changes, really.
Yeah, it does. I remember exams.
Not fun, eh?
No. 5th, 6th and 7th form exams. Not my finest hour. So with these short stories, what were you sort of starting to become a little bit more au fait with writing? Were you sort of starting to understand your style, or was it more just like the teacher's given us a 500-word assignment type thing?
It was more like that.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So it still hasn't really taken hold as a passion at this stage, is it?
No.
Okay. And you're in, so you decide to, do you finish high school? Do you go to uni?
Yeah, I went to uni.
Okay.
And
What did you study?
English, of course.
Of course, English.
Yeah.
But did you do English with the sort of desire to be a writer? Or was it because, I know that they say that the Bachelor of Arts was always one of the easier
I think it is.
degrees to get.
I think it is. I was probably one of the last students who got a free degree.
Right,
and so I just did what I felt like doing, and I really had no clue what I wanted to do with my life, so I just did what I loved. And I think these days kids have to think quite hard about more like getting a meal ticket out of it.
Yeah.
And everyone said, so do you want to be a school teacher? And no way.
No.
I didn't want to be a school teacher.
Yeah. No, I remember friends of mine, we were high school friends, then we would catch up a few years later, and I think one of them studied psychology and then teaching, and I remember catching up with him saying, do you want to be a teacher? He goes, oh God, no, I remember how I treated my teachers. No way.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember classrooms where desks were throwing around, not just chairs, and no way was I going to teach. No,
it becomes it's a battle zone.
Yeah.
So you end up, what university did you go to? Auckland University. So you go to Auckland Uni, you get your degree in English, and then what does one do with a degree in English?
Honestly,
back then?
I didn't know. I worked in an insurance company.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, I had just needed to get a job.
So were you like an insurance consultant or a salesperson, or?
I was. I worked in the underwriting.
Oh, yes, yes.
And they did marine insurance. It was Lumley's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
Just a few years, and then I started my family.
Oh, right.
And
okay.
Yeah.
And then that's when the writing sort of starts.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Because obviously you mentioned that before, that when you decided to start the family, that's when you were reading the picture books. So are you sort of reading these books going, I could do a better job than this. I could do something that's more personable.
No, I just thought... No, I don't think I wasn't like that. I just thought, wow, I love children's books. I love...
Right, okay.
I love the pictures, the words, how they all fit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've... You should remember it. Yeah, you probably do. I've introduced my son to Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got a big stack in his bedroom, and we read them together. And he loves the idea of being able to make his own choices. It's like, good for you. And we did. So let's go back to the start. Because that's pretty much it was. You've been attacked by an alien spaceship. You died. Better luck next time. So what sort of... You started on children's books. Were they young children's books that you sort of started in first with like illustrations and stuff? Yeah?
Yeah.
And obviously you did that for a little while. And did you have any sort of success?
No, only the runner-up for the Joy Cowley Award that time.
Right.
That's it.
Are you getting published at this stage?
Oh, no. No,
nothing?
No.
No self-publishing? Was self-publishing a thing back then?
No.
No, because self-publishing is quite a big thing now, isn't it? Okay, so what prompted you to go from kids' picture books through to junior books?
I think I wanted to talk about some things that weren't children subjects. Like growing up, difficulty with your parents, historical things that happen that impact families, and so it's not really kids' picture book.
It's not real, no.
No, and I did a course at Kamo through what's it, Whangarei Community Education. Kamo High School was running all those evening classes. And Michael Boter did one for creative writing. Yes. And it was fantastic. And he made us all enter competitions, and he really pushed us.
Good.
And I thought, this is actually really exciting. And I think that's what triggered me off to take it more seriously. Yeah.
We've been very fortunate. We've had quite a few writers on. We've had Vera Dong, obviously Michael Boter, Catherine Lee, and we've had Marino Begman, who also does all of the the organisation for the podcast. Thank you, Marino, much appreciated. So you're certainly in a very good class of writer to be in, which is excellent. And it's interesting that Mike sort of helps get that nudge going and sort of gets that fire lit.
Such a good teacher. I don't know if he's ever done those classes again. I don't know. Yeah. He's probably too busy. But really.
So, I mean, Mike's been very, very busy with his writing. He's done The Devil Took Her, the horror anthology, another book for his Moneyland series, but it's and I think this is going to be a very interesting sort of series of questions, because what do you think were the big learnings that you got out of not necessarily just Mike, but I think a writer in general that is always writing and always doing the graft, and is never shy to do some self-promotion. What do you think were the big takeaways for you
from Mike's class?
Yeah.
Confidence, I think, that, hey, I can do this. The competition, I can't remember who it was, but you had paid a little bit of money and you sent off your manuscript. Oh, sorry.
That's all right, let's go.
And you actually got feedback. Really good feedback. And the feedback was so positive and so encouraging. Plus all Mike's enthusiasm, and he's very generous. He just pours out all this information.
Absolutely, he does.
Yeah, and encouragement. And I thought, I think I can keep going with this.
Can you remember what the manuscript you submitted was?
Yeah.
What was it?
I think it was called The Boy in Her Arms.
Okay.
And the person who gave me the feedback said I should have called it The Boy in My Arms, but it was about a Samoan cleaning lady who she found a boy who'd taken a drug overdose after school, and she looked after him until the ambulance came. Yeah. But she'd had a son who'd actually died, who was whawhawhine, which is woman-like.
Yeah, that's a male raised as a
female, but he had feminine, I guess, tendencies, and he was
traits,
bullied, and so that had ended badly. So even though this boy was a little Palangi boy, she really felt for him, and because he'd been bullied. That was the story, because it was a really short story.
Yeah.
It was really about her.
Oh, right. Okay. What, and has anything happened with that?
No, I could rewrite it and send it somewhere else.
Because that sounds like an absolutely amazing story.
Yeah, I was quite emotional about it when I wrote it.
Yeah. And you obviously got feedback. What was the feedback that sort of came from that?
He said that if this is a genuine Pacifica voice, this is very encouraging, and I wasn't.
I was born in Fiji. Yeah. I lived there for less than a year. It's as genuine as it's going.
No, but he also gave some sort of, you could have done this and you could have done that, and he suggested the different title.
Okay.
And I think you can resubmit things like the next year or something.
Yeah. So having gone from submitting these children's books and then them all being knocked down, what was the boost in confidence from getting some positive feedback like that?
Just made me think I'm going to keep going.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then did you sort of get straight onto Holding the Horse, or were there other books and other stories before that?
Yeah, there was definitely one other.
Okay.
Which hasn't seen the light of day.
Another one?
Yeah, and then I did this one.
Yes.
And submitted it to the Janice Marriott Mentoring Award, which is through Storylines.
Yes.
And it was the first year she'd offered it.
Okay.
And she picked my book. So
wow.
Yeah, and having a mentor is really life changing.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Janice is she's a real encourager.
Yeah.
She's a good author, but she's also a super encourager. So you feel like, oh wow, yay.
Do you still work with Janice?
No, it was for 6 months.
Right. Okay.
And at the end of that 6 months, I hadn't finished writing it.
Okay.
But the Tom Fitzgibbon Award was coming up, and I thought, I'm going to put it in. So
why not?
Rattled off the end and put it in.
Yeah.
And it didn't win, but it was shortlisted. So that was really encouraging as well.
Wow. Okay.
And they only publish the winner.
Yes.
They don't publish everybody. So then I decided to publish it myself, and my sister's been writing for a while, and it's through her publishing name.
Oh wow.
That's
okay. How, I guess, the other writers we've talked about, they had what have they called it? Either a planner or a pantser.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I think I'm a planner. I like to plan.
Okay, right.
I struggle with it.
Yeah.
But I really like to plan. Yeah, I like to know. I think if I know definitely what happens in the middle, and I know how it ends, I'm pretty good. But I still draw up a chart and I block it out.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely not a pantser by the sounds of things.
No. Yeah.
When we had Marina on, she said she's a pantser.
Yeah.
And I think it's just interesting to talk with different writers and the different styles that they sort of have. With the Holding the Horse book, this is your first official published book, yeah? How did the book come about? Because obviously you've got this story of this lady helping this Palangi. You've got the second story that gets nominated, and you get to work with Janice.
Which was this one.
Oh, that is this one. And you've got that book in the middle. Where did the inspiration and idea for this come from?
This one.
Yeah, this one.
This is set in the 1940s, and the inspiration came from my dad's family, because my dad and his brothers, they would tell these stories about the most wonderful childhood that they had. And but my gran, their mum, she would tell stories about how terrible it was when Granddad came back from the war and how tough it was. So there were two things going on, but the kids obviously were unaware of how difficult it was for their mum. But Granddad came back quite disturbed by the war, like a lot of men did, and he'd go off for a few days at a time. My grandmother actually gave him a deadline to sort himself out, which
wow.
he didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, a deadline came and went. And
yeah. With no consequences?
No,
consequences.
I don't think so. Yeah. So and two of the boys in that family, it's a family of 8.
Okay.
6 boys and 2 girls, and 2 of them were jockeys.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
so my boy in this story, he wants to be a jockey,
Mm-hmm.
but his dad doesn't want him to be, which wasn't the case in my dad's family.
Okay. Yeah.
But you've got to have conflict, so that's what the conflict was.
Absolutely.
And, so it's the story of this boy Sid trying to become a jockey.
Okay.
And his dad blocking him for some reason, which he doesn't understand.
Do we know the reason?
We find out.
We do.
Yes.
But if you want to know the reason, you've got to buy the book.
I think so.
I think that seems
I'd
fair.
spoil it if I said so.
Let's do a spoiler-free. We won't tell people.
All right.
But needless to say, there is conflict between a father and a son.
Yeah.
It's a story as old as time.
It is. Yeah. Mm.
Okay.
And in the end, it does have a happy ending. It's a kid's book. It has a happy ending.
Right. So that we get a satisfactory resolution, or the sort of the heartfelt, feel good resolution.
The truth comes out, and the boy and his dad do reconcile after the boys made absolute stupid mistakes and disasters. And, yeah.
Isn't that what boys do?
Yeah.
Northland Artists Conversation is proud to support 116. 116 are located on Bank Street in Whangarei, and an amazing venue that you can actually hire. If you're looking to hold an event or looking to hire a venue for a special occasion, 116 on Bank Street are an absolutely fantastic place. You can simply contact them via email off their website or through Facebook as well. 116 have had such amazing events in the past as the Whangarei Fringe Festival, and they've also held the Plunge Pop Culture Convention there as well. They also have local artists that also put performances on, as well as incoming artists that come into the region as well and want to be able to do things like have plays or perform music or any of those sorts of cool things. 116 are also home to the amazing Beagle radio station as well, which is a local initiative that is all set up with some very, very talented people that actually love what they do, and they do it all for free. So it's very, very cool. So 116 on Bank Street, proudly supported by the Northland Artists Conversation. So with holding the horse being, somewhat based on experiences that you had as a kid and your father, etc.
My dad's family.
The book's not based on your dad's family, though, is it?
No, it's not actually their family.
Right.
But it's that time.
Yeah. Elements,
definitely.
Okay.
The dad coming home from war element, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
With something like this, one of the things I'm always interested to know, and talking with poets or people that write lyrics or the authors that we've had on, how deep is it and how personal does the whole process go for you? Because I imagine, you do, how much of yourself do you leave on the page?
I think a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really do, especially the father-son stuff that's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you remember your own relationship with your dad and difficulties. And
do you think that helps the book?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Helps us. For you, let's talk about holding the horse. Now obviously you've taken elements. Elements.
Yes.
From your father's life, on your father's side, and there's some pieces in there that sort of are quite personal to you.
Yeah, but it is a made up story.
Oh yeah. When you're writing and you're drawing on these parts, going, okay, it's not my life. This is a made up life that have parts of what I've of people I've talked to, etc. Do you sort of have to be careful that you don't put... Is it possible to put too much of your own personal life in there?
I'm sure. Yeah, I think so.
Do you sort of have to go, that's too much, I need to pull it back a little bit?
Probably. I didn't feel I had to.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
And it is about a boy in the 1940s. So, it's a different world.
Yeah. Yeah, and that that's obviously a very, very fundamentally different time from where we are. How long did it take you to write the book?
Oh, I hate to admit it. I think it
6
took
months.
7 years.
7 years?
Yeah, I hate to say that. But not solidly, obviously.
Okay, obviously.
Yeah. I actually gave up on it and just put it away. And I thought that I stopped because I found the research too hard. But I think I stopped because I didn't know how to tell a story properly.
Okay.
I found it easy to create an atmosphere or a scene.
Yeah.
And I knew what happened in the middle and at the end, but I didn't quite know how to get there. Okay, and it just seemed like quite hard. So I put it away and until I saw that mentoring opportunity, and I thought, oh, this is something might be helpful. So I pulled it out and wrote a synopsis, and you had to send off the first 3 chapters and a synopsis.
Okay.
And lo and behold, I won. It was so exciting.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
What was the gap between you going, nah, I've had enough, to you going, yeah, I'm going to pick this back up again? Are we talking like months or years?
It was a couple of years.
Wow. Did you write anything else in between that time, or did you just kind of let writing go?
I wrote a different book.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is still sitting in the drawer, but one day I might finish it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've put... I
put that one on hold. I wrote a different one.
We did Holding Horse.
Yeah.
We stopped that. Did another book. Stopped that. Picked up Holding Horse again. Finished it.
Because it was important to me to finish it.
And what's the sense of accomplishment knowing that you not only finished the book, but you've been published and you've awards?
It's amazing.
Yeah?
It's amazing. So happy.
Will this continue to inspire you to keep the writing up?
Yeah, for sure. I am writing a sequel.
To this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get a little bit of sneaky info?
Yeah. It's called Like the Wind.
Like the Wind.
And
yes.
this book, I've set it in sort of Foxton area.
Okay. Yes.
Near Aotearoa Beach.
Yep.
But in the next book, he gets sent down to Christchurch, which and to Riccarton Racetrack to finish his apprenticeship.
Yeah.
At the end of that book, he's only got so far as achieving an apprenticeship. He has not actually been winning cups or anything. So that's still his goal. And so he ends up down in the South Island where he encounters a bit of a mystery. Okay. And so he's kind of trying to ignore the mystery and pursue his career, but in the end he gets pulled into it.
Okay.
And it's got another bit of a war kind of theme as well. I better not say too much about it, but not
too many spoilers.
I won't say any more
That's all right.
about it.
Is this going to become... Do you see that this possibly has the ability to be like a series?
No, just the 2.
It's just going to be 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 short, done and dusted.
Yeah.
Okay. And then... Well, then what do you do? Where do you go from that point onwards? Well, you get that one done. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take 7 years.
Yeah, it won't. I've got some other junior fiction books I'd like to write.
Will you go back and revisit
I will.
The other 2?
Yeah.
Because, I've always been so incredibly jealous of writers that can actually sit down and get something out. Because I know it's not easy. And the discipline required as well. I think I remember reading somewhere that Stephen King once said that he goes in and writes 6 pages every day without fail.
Wow.
And the dedication to that would be mind-blowing.
Well, he's a pantser as well. He doesn't plot; he just writes. So I think it's just wired into him. He was writing from a very young age.
Yeah, he was, and then he went off and wrote under Richard Bachman for a while, which was his non-diplôme that he used. And still while putting out the Stephen King stuff.
I think discipline's really important. I get up early and write.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do. We're sort of experimenting with maybe having whole days, but it's hard to concentrate on whole day.
Yeah.
And I did have a lovely trip with my dad to Australia, to North Queensland.
Oh, wow.
And I got a lot of writing done there.
Okay.
So what would suit me is just going off to a resort every now and then.
Right.
Spending lots of days
just
at a resort.
Yeah.
It's not always possible, is it?
Now it's funny you say that, because I went on... Yeah, I was exactly the same. When I was writing music, I remember going away to Coromandel Township. And... You drive into Coromandel and there's all these cheese shops and it's lovely, and you go left and there's all the mussels and oysters or something like that. You go right and then you keep going right and there's actually it's kind of like a accommodation lodge, and it's in the bush. You wouldn't know it's there unless you actually found it. And I remember myself and my ex-wife driving there, and we were like, sweet. We drove up from Gisborne. We were going to have a week-long holiday. I took my guitar just to see what happened, and I wrote every day without fail. I got home, nothing.
Wow.
Was a struggle.
Yeah. I think there's really something in going off and having a retreat. To
being outside your comfort zone, not being in a familiar environment where you're like, well, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go have a cup of coffee that's exactly 16 and a half steps away from where I was sleeping. You're outside of everything that's familiar for you.
But you've got no regular jobs to do either.
Yes.
You don't have all the routine of feed the chickens or do the washing or whatever you
take
do.
Out the garbage and the recycling. Yeah. Is that something that you, given the opportunity?
I would love to just have regular writing retreats. Yeah. Amazing.
Once a quarter?
Sounds good.
Yeah. We're going to start a GoFundMe for Janine to help her fulfill her dream of being able to go away once a quarter and continue. I'm kidding. Listeners and viewers, I am joking. But we're not. We're going to do it later. So obviously that's sort of the goal for you, right?
Yeah. Actually, my sister and I do have a retreat once or twice a year. We go off.
Wow.
Because she's a writer too.
Yeah.
We go off together. But my normal is to get up early and spend a couple of hours.
How does that work with you and your sister both being writers? I know myself and my brother, we were both musicians. There was always that competitive edge between the two of us. Is that there for you guys?
No, we're just totally supportive of each other. Is it just supportive? Yeah, and it's great to have someone else who understands and talk about the same thing you're interested in.
Yeah, that must be amazing.
Yeah, it's great. My husband has, he's supportive, but he has limited interest probably. Right.
It's like, yes, go. That page sounds amazing. Like the other 200 pages you've written. It's brilliant. You're supportive up until a point, right? Because they don't have that... Well, they're not a writer.
They're not a writer.
Yeah. So you can understand as much as you possibly can, but unless you're doing it, you're not going to know. Which I guess is similar to the conversation we were talking about while we were on the break before. If you don't know or can't relate, it's often hard to have those sorts of conversations. So now I'm gonna put the notes down. Now you have got something very cool coming up, and I saw this a few weeks ago, and I thought this was absolutely amazing. You're part of the Creative Writing Northland Mentors group. Is that right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's new.
It's very new.
Yeah, and it's the brainchild of Michael Bolter.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
He's he's just such a go-getter, and he thought it up, organised it instantly. There was a website and everything, and Facebook advertising. Well, not advertising, but, it was out there.
Yeah, definitely all over Facebook from his pages.
And he just asked a few people, 6 or 7 people, if they would like to be willing.
And?
Yeah, and I'm one of them.
You're one of them?
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So you've gone from being the mentee
Yes.
to the mentor.
Yes.
Right. How does that must feel pretty amazing.
Well, it does. I feel a little bit like an imposter because I haven't...
The imposter syndrome.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's a real thing too.
It
Yeah,
is.
okay.
But anyway, I have got a lovely mentee, and we've just started. And
Congratulations.
And because I have been have been mentored by someone else.
Yeah.
And I've read a lot of craft books, as you do. I've got some stuff to share.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna quickly go to the wide camera, people. So we've got a fly here. I'm gonna hold that up on my close shot there. Andrew, can we see that? Andrew's yawning.
Yeah. Sorry,
but
it's not.
Giving me the thumbs up.
Sorry, it's not in colour.
It's in black and white in this one, but there is actually a lovely colour version available. So if you're a painter, just close your eyes and imagine that it's filled with colour.
Blue and yellow,
glorious.
mostly.
It says storyteller, wordsmith, literary dreams, get a creative writing mentor. We'll help you towards your goal of becoming an author, novelist, short story writer, poet, playwright, or journalist. And this next section is really, really cool. One-on-one guidance from published writers. That would be you. You design your goals. So essentially you're not telling the person what their goals need to be. They
tell you what they
tell you what they want.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Minimal cost to you. Start immediately. Work mostly online. Any hours that suit you, which is great.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It is. And the other cool thing I like is the age range. It's from 12 to adult. That is so broad, which is good because, if you think back to when you were writing your poems and short stories and stuff like that, imagine if you'd have had an opportunity like this.
I know. I would have jumped at it.
Yeah. And it's really, really good. So you can request your mentor and apply to be selected by going to www.creativewritingnorthland.com. Any questions, contact Michael Boter, which is mike@michaelboterwriter.com. So very, very cool. So apart from Mike and yourself, who are some of the other mentors that are available?
Catherine Lee's one.
Former podcast guest, Catherine Lee, yes.
Yeah. I can't think. There are 5 or 6
in total.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember all
That's
the
okay.
names.
And I'm guessing all different styles and genres as well.
Different styles and genres, different backgrounds.
Yes.
I think just about everybody's from up here except one might be from Wellington.
Oh, okay.
So it's meant to be Northland.
Yes, it does say on the flyer, Creative Writing Northland and mentors aspiring writers like you across Whangarei and Northland, which is really cool. Obviously, having started up this podcast, funnily enough, called Northland Artists Conversation, these sorts of initiatives are amazing and they're just well worth it because it's an opportunity to help continue to grow and build the thriving creative community we have in Northland. Actually, that's an interesting question. As a writer, and actually as someone who has listened and or watched some of the podcasts that we've done, do you feel that some of the disciplines are sort of very much, they have their own little group? So writers tend to stick together and sculptors stick together. Do you sort of feel that exists with what you do?
Definitely there's a writing community.
Yeah?
Definitely, yeah.
Now, let's say I was a writer, I'm terrible, and Andrew writes hip hop. So he's a yes, fist up in the air. How can people, if people are interested and maybe aren't quite ready to take that leap into getting a writing mentor, where can they find the community of local writers? Is there like a Facebook page or something along those lines?
Yeah, there is a Facebook group for Northland writers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's called Writers Up North.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
And there is the New Zealand Society of Authors has a group, but you need to be a member. But there are all kinds of writing courses online. Some you paid for, some are free.
Yeah.
All kinds of podcasts you can listen to.
Lots of really good quality podcasts.
Amazing podcasts. You can learn so much online, and including this one.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
For the audience listening and watching, I wasn't digging for some validation there for just a moment, or for some shameless plugging. Producer Andrew in the background's trying not to laugh his ass off. Good for you.
I would say this one's more inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Whereas some of the other ones are definitely, this is how you do it. Like actual teaching.
Informative.
Yeah, informative.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got Holding the Horse. Where can I find it? If I want to purchase it, where do I find it? Where do I go?
Well, you can buy it direct from me.
Yes.
Or if you're a librarian or a teacher, you can buy it through Wheelers.
Yes.
And you can buy it in Whangarei.
Yes.
At Book Inn in Kamo, which is a second-hand bookshop.
Yes.
Kamo.
That's where I got all those books behind you, actually. With the exclusion of Punk Rock Dad, I got all of those books from Book Inn and Kamo. They are fantastic.
Yeah, Yvonne's great.
She is.
Yeah, and Craniums, which is down at the Town Basin.
That's the one with all the puzzles and stuff inside it as well.
Yeah, it's a children's bookshop.
It's amazing.
Rebecca, who runs that, she's got a book there.
Nice.
And I'm also a member of the Batch, which is also at the Town Basin. So they've got a few copies. It's a big craft store, gift shop.
Yeah, a lot of people that do their own arts and crafts and stuff like that go there. Yeah, that's an amazing place as well. Now, if I wanted to go to the library and rent the book out, am I able to do that?
Yes, you definitely are.
Excellent.
Yeah, I checked the other day. Yes, they do have it.
Hooray!
It's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to listen to it, where do I go to get a quality audiobook?
Well, that's a good question, because I've done an audiobook.
Yes.
And
that's cool.
It's through Findaway Voices. And
So what was it called?
Findaway.
Findaway.
They're the company that, I don't know, distribute it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the audio is done by Naomi Barton. She's a voice actor here in New Zealand.
Very well known, yeah.
And so as far as I know, it hasn't made it as far as Audible.
Okay,
so it's on various other platforms.
That's the next goal, though.
That is the next goal. So I know it's on Overdrive.
Yep.
So I suppose that if you asked the library and said you wanted the audio version, they would get it.
Oh, right. Okay. And if you requested it through Audible, they might give it a bit more consideration?
I suppose. I don't know what the system is.
Who knows?
But I just ticked yes to all these different distribution places all over the world, because I really want to have it in libraries.
So if anyone's interested, do Holding the Horse audiobook as a Google search and you'll come up with something.
Yeah, you would.
I think that's safe to say. I'm going to quickly grab one of these, and I'm going to grab one with the sticker at the front. This is not that many pages. 165. Quite a light read.
It's a children's book.
Yeah. It's I love reading the back of them. A boy the world dismissed, his impossible dream of glory. Can this underdog really fight and win? It's great. It's amazing. A boy, a dream, a secret plan.
A secret plan that turned out to be not that bright, but he thought it was terrific.
I don't think many boys have many secret plans that are that bright, to be fair. There's the odd one or two. I certainly know I had a few of those when I was growing up. Not that bright at all. Oh, Janine Williams, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us today. It's been amazing. Hearing you talk about your writing and this book especially with such passion. We really hope it's a success.
Thank you.
And then we also hope to have you come back in when you finish your next book.
All right.
Just as long as it's not 7 years. I'm teasing everyone. But thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, there we have it. The incredibly talented and persevering Janine Williams. You know, I got a lot out of this podcast. I always do. I get a lot out of the podcasts. Chatting with Janine for me was very interesting because hearing the determination that she has. She talked about how, you know, she went away on holiday and then she wrote a ton, and then when she came back, she knew she needed to get herself into a routine. We talk about planners and pantsers quite a bit. Now, this has been referenced in other podcasts with other authors. A planner is someone that will actually sit down and structure out an entire story, so that way they kind of know all of the beats and where everything kind of ebbs and flows. A pantser is essentially someone who writes by the seat of their pants, which, according to Janine, is the great Stephen King, which makes sense because the dude is a bit of a legend and, you know, has a massive work output. So, you know, Stephen King, good job. What was the most interesting thing for me with Janine was, as I said, she goes away for the holiday to Northern Australia and she just writes. And I think she said she goes away with her dad and she writes and writes and writes and writes. And that is, you know, that's an amazing thing. She goes out of her comfort zone and just has that ability to just hone in and really start developing what she's doing, which is amazing. And then coming back and then trying to work out how to replicate that. You know, so for me, being able to relate to that as well, you know, because, you know, as someone who's written lyrics before and wrote music, sometimes just kind of getting away out of your normal comfort zone can really inspire creativity. So where can you find this truly glorious and amazing podcast? Well, I'm going to tell you. You can find us on our social media platforms. So for the visuals, you can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, all Northland Artists Conversation. You can find us for the audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Again, Northland Artists Conversation. And if you are a creative person in any way, and I do mean any way, and we don't know about you, we would love to hear from you. And you can contact us by emailing us hello@northernartistsconversation.co.nz. We would love to hear from you, whether it's from yourself or friends or family that go, hey, you know, this person would be great on your podcast. Welcome it. We welcome it. We welcome your email. Please don't hesitate to contact us. Now, if you're someone that's interested in supporting the podcast, kind of at that next level, we do have a Patreon page as well. You can support us by going to www.patreon.com/Northland Artists Conversation or searching Patreon in Google, which is Patreon, going to the top right-hand corner and simply typing in Northland Artists Conversation. We have two tiers. So we have the first tier, which is cup of coffee, and that's $5 a month. The second tier we have is what we've affectionately called Coffee Addict. That gives you a couple of little extra bonuses. First one is you'll get a shout out on the podcast at the end. And the second one is if you have any questions you'd like us to ask the guests, we will do that. You know, that way we've kind of got that interactivity as well. Patreon is a big environment and big platform for people that wish to support something that they love and they're passionate about. And we as a team are incredibly passionate about this. So if you'd like to, again, patreon.com, and Northland Artists Conversation, having your guys' support would be amazing. I'm going to throw back to my wide. It's been an interesting few weeks, people. Cyclone Gabriel really took it out of a lot of people, and hopefully you're kind of getting back to where you were. You've got your power, you've got your water, you've got your internet. You're able to get to and from work safely as well. If you are still in a position where you are needing assistance, reach out to friends and family. Or if you know someone that needs assistance, don't be shy, go give them a hand. One of the great things that we do as New Zealanders is we all come together in times of crisis, and Cyclone Gabriel has definitely done that. Compared to Cyclone Bowler from 1988, definitely a challenging time. So let's all get together and let's all rally round one another and support one another, and let's get everyone back up to where we should be. So on that high note, on behalf of the Northland Artists Conversation team and myself, Mark Kelly, your host, thank you very much. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys real soon.